Hey guys, welcome back to J is for Justice. You see me in my new fancy chair. Thank you so much to Miss Robin for my wonderful chair. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be playing the 48 Hours episode, and then I'm going to reiterate kind of the side stuff because I can't play it in its entirety. But I have saved the clips of things that maybe we haven't heard before or we can discuss, but a lot of it was repetitive. So we're going to start off with the very beginning. I'm going to watch the first segment and then I'll break it down for you. All right. So the beginning of the show is Kaylee's parents and Kaylee's mom in the trailers talking about how can the world go on when Kaylee is gone. And then we hear from Olivia Goncalves, who asks everybody to remember the 4 victims. And finally, the sweetheart, Jasmine Kernodle. She speaks about her sister, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. A lot of us saw her on the stage at the memorial, and it's just hard to fathom that she lost her sister. So the things that she talks about are just, Xana was so fun, and she just had a personality like no one that she ever knew.
He came in with a kit. I believe he had a kill kit.
All planned.
It was inhumane. You wouldn't do these type of things to any living creature, let alone an innocent human being.
I have no words. I think it must have been really, really bad. You wouldn't even do this to any creature. It's really hard to think about that. But let's talk about the kill kit for a second. I made a video about this when the trailer came out because I've been talking about similarities between Ted Bundy and Brian Koberger, or BTK and Brian Koberger, all these different serial killers that I think he studied. And to hear that Steve Goncalves, in the very beginning, he initially says he had a kill kit. Then he says, I believe he had a kill kit.
He came in with a kit. I believe he had a kill kit.
So I don't know if this was something that was confirmed to him or if it's just something that he thinks happened.
Prosecution would like everyone to believe that it's an open and shut case. But I think the facts they have make the case more open than open and shut. According to the defense, there is no connection whatsoever between Brian Koberger and the victims.
Now, some of you might know this is Howard Blum or Bloom. I'm not sure how you say it, but he's the one that wrote the series that I narrated, and I'll put the link here. You got to take what he says and really listen to it. If you take it at face value, it's like he's saying there's no connection and that's been proven. No, what he said is the prosecution wants you to believe it's an open and shut case. Wants you to believe. That's his perception. Secondly, he says, according to the defense, there's no connection between Koberger and the victims. Now, we all know, according to the defense, there's no connection because they filed that in a motion, but it doesn't make it true.
And if there's no connection, then there is no motive. And if there's no motive, then it becomes very hard to make the case that he is the killer.
And again, I completely disagree. I think that with all the evidence being sealed, hence the gag order, I think that there could be evidence there that does connect them, maybe in a non-personal kind of way. Maybe they didn't know him, but he knew who they were, type thing. Okay, now at this point, they are asking the Goncalves family about the trial being delayed. Brian Koberger waiving his right to a speedy trial.
I was really hoping that we could get this show on the road because the not knowing, it's agony. It's agony.
We're not going to just sit back and cross our fingers and pray that we're going to get justice.
Yeah, I've had some dreams of her. There's times where I prayed and asked God to see her another time, and I did, and it just gives me some peace knowing that I know she's okay. It's fun. She was uplifting, and
she cared about people.
We found out that Jeff Kernodle was visiting Jasmine for Dad's weekend, and he was actually driving home, and some friends had started calling Jasmine on the morning of the 13th, saying that something bad had happened to Xana. So she called Xana and Ethan and then called her dad and said, Dad, you need to come back.
A lot. I called her a lot, called Ethan a lot.
I hear her kind of crying and just telling me to get back to Moscow and meet me at Xana's house. You know, my heart drops.
When Jasmine and her dad arrived at the King Road address and they found out that they were related to Xana, they were escorted to the Moscow Police Department. Jasmine's asked, what did the police officer tell you?
I don't remember exactly, just that 4 people passed away, and that one was Anna.
Your worst nightmare.
Hearing from the family is really, really hard, especially knowing Jasmine and how close her and Xana were, and just all of the trials and tribulations that we've learned throughout the months that these kids had gone through in their personal lives as well. So as soon as they heard, they went through Kaylee's call log and started cold calling numbers in her phone. Then they found out from a friend of Kaylee's that she was at the corner club. And from there, she's tracked down the rideshare driver. And the rideshare driver said that they picked him up at the grub truck and told Olivia about the camera at the grub truck. Olivia went back through the footage and she found it on Twitch, but the rideshare driver had told her about it. And it doesn't sound like the rideshare driver knew Maddie. I don't know if he knew Kaylee because he only told Olivia she had another female with her. So that leads me to believe he didn't know Maddie.
The rideshare driver said around 1:45, Kaylee had texted him requesting a ride from the grub truck, and she had with her another female.
So from what I'm understanding, Olivia found out about the rideshare driver from Kaylee's call and text logs.
We know the autopsy. She was assaulted and stabbed.
Several times. Her death certificate is the ugliest, disgustingest piece of paper that you will ever see in your life. Every line, because there's causes of death and then there's contributions to death.
I Googled an Idaho death certificate just to see what they look like, and it does say the cause of death, underlying cause, and other conditions contributing, but unrelated to above causes. So they say that every line of her death certificate is a nightmare.
The bed was up against the wall. The headboard was touching the wall, and the left side of the bed was touching the wall. And we believe that Maddie was on the outside and Kaylee was on the inside.
Here, Steve says that Maddie was the target, according to Coroner Mabbitt. Apparently, she told him this before the gag order, that the killer started on the 3rd floor and that Maddie was the first victim.
Yes.
Yeah, there's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation.
The way the bed was set up is what...
She was trapped.
She was trapped.
Steve and Christy go on to say that they think that he had been scouting the house, that they were told, Steve says he was told by the lead investigator that Brian Koberger was scouting the house. But they also think that he could have went inside the house, but they do think he was creeping around.
I think that he at least had opened that door, went in, tested the waters, looked around. I do think that his plan went awry. I do think that, he intended to kill 1 and killed 4.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If the killer went upstairs first to the 3rd floor where Maddie's room of, if Maddie was the target, he intended to go and beeline straight to Maddie. He goes in the back door, he goes up the stairs, and he goes into Maddie's room. Maddie and Kaylee are there. Is it possible that if Xana never would have ordered that DoorDash, that she would have remained in her room with Ethan and they would have been spared? Because if she came out at 4 a.m. for the DoorDash, she may have come face to face with the killer.
Incredible information before things start getting wonky. He had made a few posts on Reddit, like a questionnaire to people in prison or jail who had committed crimes.
See, I knew we all saw this. I didn't know that Olivia had found it early on too. It was interesting.
I go into that 100%. Yep, of course.
That's not where you are.
No.
They show the contrast between Steve and Christie's thoughts on the perpetrator. Steve says he's open to it being anyone. He wants to see everything. Then he'll make that determination. She says there's no doubt in her mind. They've got the right individual. At any rate, they both say they're ready for the trial to begin. Now, the topic that has been hot on YouTube, they are asked about the subject of drugs being involved in these murders.
That's just Hollywood nonsense. I just dismiss that because I understand our society wants to believe in some of these movies that they watch.
I'm not sure what he even means by this, to be honest with you. I personally think that it's not drugs because I don't think that the cartel kills in that way. I don't think they stab and leave people as witnesses and things like that. I'm with him. I just don't get the Hollywood connection, but whatever.
They don't have these crazy lives where they're crossing paths with people like that.
That storyline of it being drugs gives people a reason to think why it happened.
Now, how I said earlier that Olivia went on to Instagram immediately, as soon as Brian Koberger's name was given to them as a suspect, they immediately went online. So they had Brian Koberger's name before we did, and they found connections on Instagram.
They just told us the name, and we immediately started Googling. From our investigation of the account, it appeared to be the real Brian Koberger account.
But when we looked through those, it appeared to have other family members that were related to him.
I wonder if any of those family members were in the family tree of DNA.
You would go to Maddie's Instagram account and look at her pictures, and he liked them. Brian's name was under a lot of Maddie's pictures, like that picture and that picture and that picture and that picture. So he was actively looking at the Instagram accounts.
Is Theodora Maddie K. Obviously, Maddie K is after Maddie and Kaylee.
This is really cool.
In the hospital, her room number, 1113, was the same as the date of the murders, November 13th. The time of birth, 4:21 a.m.
Signs like that are not just a coincidence, in my opinion. I thought that was a really cool way for them to end that show. Maddie K is absolutely adorable. Goncalves family, we love you and we stand with you here at J is for Justice. And that pretty much sums it up. A lot of it was stuff we already knew just because we follow this so closely. People that don't watch YouTube, probably, this is new information for them. But they did leave a few nuggets behind. Let me know your thoughts on this information. And I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.